make sure you start your bar the right way the first time. I'm Brian Johnson, and in this episode of Better Cocktails at Home, I'm going to be talking about how to get your bar started and make sure you do it the right way just to kind of give yourself that much of an edge. And I have a lot of people talk to me about, like they want to get a few bottles for their house, what do they want to buy? And I like to talk to them initially about what I think a lot of people do is they go out and they buy like three or four base spirits, and they kind of use that as their starter bar. I think that's it's less than ideal, I think. I just have a few examples here. I think sometimes a lot of people go buy a spiced rum. A lot of times they'll almost always get a vodka. A lot of times they'll pick up a whiskey. Maybe they'll pick up a tequila too. And I generally, if they're really wanting to get into craft cocktails, classic cocktails, I generally try to move them away from buying base spirits like that and just as a group, because I think they're going to be disappointed when they can't make a lot of different things other than highballs such as rum and cokes, whiskey and water. And so I think you can I try to steer them more towards some of these selections I have over here, because I think I can do a lot more with it as far as cocktails go. And I'm going to move the whiskey on this side because I do generally recommend people start with a whiskey. This is a bourbon. If you're only going to buy one, I'd probably start with a rye, but either one will work. Whiskey is it's a base of a lot of different cocktails. Basically old fashions, Sazeracs are two really great ones. And I think it lends itself well with the other ingredients I have here. The next other base spirit I recommend people start with is a gin. This is Plymouth gin, but I think a London dry is nice. This is not quite a traditional London dry. It's a little bit sweeter, but I do like it. But you can get away with like a Beefeater or a Tanqueray, or even some American ones. And I think gin's really, it's a base spirit that kind of plays well with the vermouths I have here also, as well as liqueur. In gin is just the base of so many cocktails, whether it's martinis. You can do a traditional martini, you can do sweet vermouth and dry vermouth in your martinis. You can do just kind of a different range of it. It gives you a lot of variety. Now, the one liqueur that I recommend people pick up is Maraschino, and it's a really kind of, pungent is maybe the wrong word, but it's a very distinctive flavor and smell to it. But I think it is used to great effect in a lot of cocktails with whiskey or gin in them, and so I think it's one of the ones you see a lot in quite a few classics. So I definitely recommend picking that up to people kind of getting started. It's one of my early liqueur purchases. And then I always recommend they pick up a sweetened dry vermouth. They're just not expensive. You can get a bottle like these for $10, and it's just, you can do so much with it. You can do a traditional dry martini and just, do maybe a 4-to-1 gin to dry vermouth. You can do inverted martinis where you're using a lot more vermouth than you are gin. And they just kind of give you some stuff to play with. Do Manhattan, sweet vermouth, whiskey, bitters. It gives you flexibility. And in terms of bitters, Angostura, of course, is the classic. It's the gold standard. A lot of spice to it. Very tasty. I also recommend people pick up Peychaud just because I think it's just such a contrast to what Angostura is. Plus, when you can make that Sazerac with it, which you really need, it can give you, kind of a different range of bitter flavors you can do. And I think it just this is a really good, nice place to start. You can do a lot of cocktails with it, especially classic ones, classically styled cocktails. And it's not really, it's probably comparatively priced as to what if you're going out and buying a rum, a vodka, a whiskey, a tequila. But I think you do a lot more with it. I think it's much more flavorful and gets you off kind of on that right start. So these are some of my picks for getting your bar started. And let me know if you have any questions, but that's how you start your bar.